Now, I mentioned that we probably want to optimize this function. A lot of what we've done is doing the same thing over and over again. And anytime you're writing the same code over and over again, there's probably a better way to do it. We want to reduce the redundancy and just use things once. Don't repeat yourself. DRY is the concept. So the first thing I need to do is create an array to hold all those measures in it, the things like population, units, and households. And so I found a function that takes the keys in a particular line of an object, and it just stores those keys in a variable. So what I've done here is I've created a variable called measures, which is an array that holds all the keys. And so I'm looking at it for just the first one because whether it's Austin or Lubbock or Fort Worth, it doesn't matter. They're all using the same keys. And so this is looking at it for Austin, but capturing the names of the keys. And the names of the keys in this case are name of the city, and we don't really need that, population, units, households, and then the fourth one is the tip. And that's all right in the JSON. So that's all this does. This one line here does that. And I've added that to the HTML right here. So that just stores it. And then for the function write data, I've actually created that so it will use the for loop and it will do what we had done previously in the select measure, but we did this every single time for the if statement. Now this is going to take the number that we pass into it, whether it's the number that we say initially for the first view of the chart or the number that we pass into it from selecting the measure. And then it will create the chart based on the measure that is selected. And it will do it for each and every city because each chart will have all 3 cities on it. So it's going to create the name of the city, it's going to create the box, it's going to put the number on it, and then there's also a tooltip here that we'll add in a second. And this here adds the category. Remember we had added this cat here, and it just takes the name of the category and takes the measure and puts that there so we know which one we're looking at. So that's write data. The first time for the initial view, we want to run write data just so that it's using population, and population is at point 1 in the array. If you recall, arrays start at 0, and the first one is name. So we want to use 1, 2, and 3, and those coincidentally correspond to 1, 2, and 3 up here. So for the first view, we're going to write the population version. But then when we use select measure, we want to make it a little bit simpler so that whatever we have selected in the dropdown gets written into write data. And that's what happens right here. It pulls what's in the dropdown based on the ID, and then it passes that into write data. So whatever it is, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, that gets passed into write data, and it's going to write the chart based on that. So if I save this, come over here and refresh this page, I now have a chart that changes based on the dropdown, and it's doing it with much easier code than what we had done with all the different if statements. It just requires a little bit of thought, and I just want to point out that this is just a very small amount of code here that we've created to run this advanced functionality of this chart. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of thinking through logically what you want to accomplish and how you can use those dry, don't repeat yourself principles.